Hello friends, it's Monica, also known as Sleeved After 60, and I am coming to you for my 10th month surgeryversary from having had a VSG. And I've been kind of missing in action the last few weeks. After having brachioplasty, I sort of needed some time to sort of recoup, and I'll talk about that another time. But anyway, so I wanted to do this for a couple of reasons. First of all, because it's my 10 month, and also because I wanted to share sort of what did I learn in 2017. I think that finding Elizabeth did a really good job, and that motivated me. She always motivates me. So first of all, so today is Sunday, January 14th, no makeup. I only have chapstick. I spent a day of beauty today where I soaked in the tub. I hate soaking in the tub. I don't have the patience for it, but my plastic surgeon wanted me to do something different with my arms. So I did that. And then I did a hair mask, I did a face mask. And the reason why I'm not doing any makeup at all, nothing, no, nothing, no mascara, nothing, is because I made a New Year's resolution not to go to bed with makeup. I'm terrible about taking off my makeup at night. So I decided that, I don't know what time it is right now, but it's sometime in the afternoon that, let's see, what time is it? Yeah, it's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not worth it to put makeup on and then I have to take it off before I go to bed. So for some of you who say, make comments about my age, this is what 65 almost looks like. No makeup, no highlighter, no, and also I'm not wearing any glasses, which, frames can sort of hide all kinds of things. So there you are. Back to, I had VSG on March 14th at the University of Minnesota with Dr. Daniel Leslie, Fairview Hospital in the Twin Cities. That's Minneapolis, St. Paul in Minnesota. I am right under 5'5". I will be 65 this May, and my highest weight, I like to say this century, because last century my highest weight was almost 260, but this century my highest weight was in the summer of 2015, and it was 240. Before I started at the university, I was 224. I started someplace else and had to move on to the university. So November of 16, I was 224, and day of surgery, I was 198. And today I'm 139.9, which, 140. So I reached my normal BMI at before my 6-month checkup, which would have been August, I guess. Yeah, August. Or is it September? March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Sorry, but I think I reached it like in March, and it's 140 some pounds. I've really stayed since then, maybe a pound or two. I think the lowest I've seen has been 138 something, 138, point something. I tend to weigh in. I was weighing in every day, but again, part of my laziness is that it gets cold in Minnesota and my scale is downstairs. I use spare room with closet and all that stuff. That's my dressing area. It's my bathroom. So for me to come downstairs first thing in the morning and get naked before having coffee, as God intended you to weigh yourself. Sometimes it's just too cold. I mean, I don't do it. I just don't do it. So I make sure. Today I did it today because of the anniversary. But it's kind of like, you're downstairs is colder than you're upstairs. I mean, it's just science, right? So, what's been going on? The week after Christmas. So when I weighed in that Tuesday after Christmas, which would have been like the 26th. I had lost some weight. I always, down in the description box, I have a running tab of every week of my weight, and you're free to go and look there. And so that the day after Christmas, I was down to like 139 or something. And then the last 2 weeks on Tuesday, I saw the scale go up, and I think from like 138, 139, went up to like 142. And both weeks I panicked. So why did I panic? Well, for many reasons, because everybody's talking about regain, and that scares me a lot. And what I learned is that I personally, I have to be really careful about sugar. And that means alcohol. Alcohol, as you know, is sugar. Especially I drink white wine. And the other thing is I tend to get really carried away with my vitamins. I do gummies. I was doing a whole bunch of them because you do your biotin for your hair, and you do the B, and you do the D, and you do the C, and the thing, and the probiotic, and the blah 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 blah. That it ends up being a couple, and it's not the calories for me, it's the sugar. So I had to, once I put that away and said, why do I do this to myself? I give them up because I know that it's a trigger, and then I go back again, like it's going to be a different, sign of mental illness, right? You think the outcome is going to be differently. So what have I learned? In my weight loss journey is one that is founded on the idea that I have binge eating disorder, BED, that I went to treatment for. I'm under a, my personal belief is that my eating disorder has to be managed, and I manage it by being really careful of what I eat, and of my behavior and how it makes me feel. I look at this as a recovery-based program. So it's recovery from binge eating disorder. And I never purged. At times in my life when I purged, it was through, exercising, and usually it was through yo-yo dieting. So I would, overeat, I would binge eat, and then I would restrict. That was my lifelong, how I lived my life. And then when I went to treatment, I did, I went to I think I was like 211 when I went to treatment. And I gained, weight afterwards. And the promise sort of that I made to myself was that I was not going to diet again, because I know what dieting does. So that's, I am not diagnosing anybody else. I'm just saying this is how it works for me. So what I learned in 2017 is that managing my eating disorder, first of all, it has nothing to do with willpower. And I know that every once in a while, somebody very dear in the community will say, oh, you have such willpower. For me, it has nothing to do with willpower. That's not how I treat my eating disorder. That's not how I eat, how I treat my eating and not eating. Willpower has nothing to do with it. I also find that in the last year, because I've really been in recovery for over a year. The other thing that I find is that food is not just food, that I need boundaries that I'm not willing to cross. And when I say that, again, this is not, this is just how it works for me. It's not a judgment of how somebody else does it. For me, there's some boundaries that I can't cross. So that whole idea that I'm on vacation, so I'll eat whatever I want, and then I'll come home and do whatever it is, go on a diet or restrict. I don't do that. I can't do that because I just can't. The idea that any kind of restriction, my restriction is that I don't eat sweets, I don't eat what I consider junk food, and the behavior of binge eating, because I can binge eat with blueberries. I can eat this whole container of blueberries. The whole thing of binge eating is a behavior, right? It's not about calories for me. So although, yes, in the old days, I could have, throughout a day, I could have eaten a whole box of Cheez-Its. Oh my God, Cheez-Its, my crack. I can, or I could do it with M&Ms, or I could do it with cookies, or whatever. I could also do it with something healthy. So it's not the thing of, what's the food? It's about what's the behavior. How does that make me feel? Do I feel out of control? Do I feel like, well, now that I did this, then I can do everything? That's just how I do it. The other thing that I've learned is that I really need to, and I was just talking to my therapist about this, that my self-talk is what works for me always. And it's the idea of having an inner coach as opposed to an inner critic. It doesn't work for me if I say, once again, look at that tomorrow. What works for me is, I know I can do this because I've done it before. I know I have control over food. And I know that I don't have to, if I have 2 glasses of wine and then I want to eat sweets, that I can say, instead of, you shouldn't have done it, you shouldn't have had 2 glasses of wine, all that talk, that I can say, hey, you know what? You want sweets because you drank that wine that you enjoyed, right? And now your body, not only, are you less likely to think straight, but your body wants sugar. So take a moment, have a, drink water, do whatever, think before you act, because you can make really good decisions. And this is just one of those times. The other thing is that I learned in 2017 is that the scale is just a tool and I can use it as such. So, I weigh, there's a lot of emotion attached to it. So I have to do that inner coach and not the inner critic and say, just like, when the 2 weeks that I had a gain, that I had to go, okay, wait, this is not 100 pounds. This is not 50 pounds. This is a pound. What did you do? Let's tweak it. Yes, those vitamins are not a good thing for you. I can do the same thing with dates, that I overeat dates, and then, it's the sugar and all that stuff. That's another one. The other thing is that I learned is that exercise is not a must. It's an also. An important thing, and I don't know if I saw it somewhere, something that my therapist says often about being worthy, is that you don't have to be worthy, that you're born being worthy. You don't have to earn anything. So that, of course, I'm worthy of being healthy and being, having energy and being thin and being able to wear what I want. And that's also about my inner talk, my inner coach, because it's really easy for me to get into that. Oh my gosh, am I worthy of I'm wearing a size 2. Am I worthy of that? Yeah, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? Of course. So those are my things. We're in this together. Bestos to all of you. I need to go off because 15 minutes and then I don't know how to download it. Bye-bye. Comments, let me know. Suggestions.